Hello and welcome to Qsports. I am Umudu Gajaga and thank you very much for joining us. Coming up this afternoon, we are discussing exclusively about football transfers, especially when it comes to Gambians. And the latest, the person whose name is all over social media is Yankuba Minte, Gambian youngster who plays for Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie, had a fantastic season, scored goals, made some assists, played in the UEFA Champions League, and scored a goal also for the Gambian national team, Yankuba Minte, in the qualifiers in a game against Congo, where he's someone who orchestrated one of the goals, has been fantastic for the Scorpions in the Africa Cup of Nations also, despite not winning a single game. We've all seen his performance. He's in a big transfer saga, well, according to the papers and the reports that we are seeing on social media. Well, right now, the latest that we are getting is that Brighton Hove Albion, a Premier League team, are interested in the youngster. They're monitoring the situation. Another team that has had a bid with Newcastle United, who are the owners of Yankuba, in terms of contractual agreements, is Everton. But we've also had reports about Lyon, Olympique Lyon of France, interested in the youngster. Where will he move eventually? And we will also be looking at some other transfers. How does the issue of transfers work? When it comes to a footballer, do you have a say when your team wants to trade you to another team? It is the complex world of football transfers, football trading. That's what we are going to look about in this program. And joining me on the show is football writer, journalist, Fode Mane. Fode, welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure always to talk to you about football, especially when it comes to Gambian footballers. You're somebody who dedicated your time, energy, monitoring what are they doing, especially the ones who are playing outside the Gambia. Fode, why are we in this situation when it comes to Yankuba Minte? This is a youngster who did fantastically well for Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie. We've all watched him play in the UEFA Champions League, had some minutes, eventually scoring a goal, being registered by a Gambian, that is after Ibrahim Akoli scored for Young Boys. We were all proud. And the expectation was, after this good season, you know, the Newcastle coach, Eddie Howe, will look into the situation of this boy. He will join them in pre-season, and then after, they would decide whether he's ready to play in the Premier League. But everything has turned kind of upside down. Things are looking really different from that picture. Tell us, what's the latest? What's happened?
Yeah, I think we're all talking about Yankuba Minte because he is Yankuba Minte, a very special talent, no doubt. You know, we are very proud, you know, seeing him putting the national flag of the Gambia at that level of the world of football. You could all recall Yankuba spent just 10 months in Europe before sealing a mega move from Denmark to English Premier League. He moved to Odense in August 2022, and then he spent less than a year with Odense, then sealed a move to Newcastle in 2023 August. When he moved to Newcastle, he was immediately loaned out to Feyenoord, which everyone knows. He had an impressive performance over the season in Feyenoord. He scored 11 goals in 37 appearances. You know, yeah, like you said, you know, he should be going back to Newcastle for the pre-season to be assessed by Eddie Howe to see whether he will fit in his programs, in his agenda. So the boy will stay with Newcastle and, you know, have a very expected, you know, career that we all want to see in the Premier League. But yes, something came up, and we all know football goes with rules, you know, and we don't need to blame. I saw many people giving their opinion on Newcastle, you know, with this transfer, saying, okay, Newcastle want to send the boy out, they want to just let him go. No, Newcastle want to keep a star like Yankuba. That is very obvious. But there is something that came up. There is a financial challenge that Newcastle want to overcome, and they have a deadline to meet. So they thought of Yankuba Minte is the player right now that is within their setup, and he's the player that can help them to address that challenge.
Is it to the financial fair play rules?
Yeah. Exactly. So they have until Sunday, which is tomorrow, to address that, and that is to sell at least a player. So Yankuba, they looked at it and they think right now, if they put Yankuba in the market, he would be that player everyone will want to come for, and that really surfaced, because we have seen clubs around the world, from Italy, from France, even from Germany, paying so much attention. Even Netherlands, not even Feyenoord, but even clubs in Netherlands are so much interested in the boy, and they thought like, okay, if they put Yankuba in the market, they'll be able to address that. So that is why this issue came up to this stage. But the first plan was Yankuba should be going back to Newcastle, and he will be assessed by Eddie Howe during the preseason if he's impressive. Obviously, at his time in Feyenoord, he is loan coach, who is the former Newcastle striker, Nigerian legend, Sola, really gave a good report about the boy, and Eddie Howe is impressed. So that is the plan. But now this issue came, so they want to offload him to see how best they can address that. Along the line, terms were agreed with a club, which was unnamed. I think we shared that, an unnamed club, agreed terms with the player. Later on, news came out that club like Everton, were negotiating with Newcastle, and that appears to be, yes, the club that Yankuba must have agreed terms with could be Everton, because Everton believed to be the only club at the time in negotiation with Newcastle to agree on terms, and then the deal will happen. So it went for some hours, and we came to hear that again, Everton and Newcastle deal or negotiation collapsed, because they're trying to see how best they can exchange players and also see how they can compromise, because they want to send Calvert-Lewin to the other side, and Yankuba Minte moves to the other side. So the deal collapsed at that stage. Then we made contacts and we confirmed that yes, every deal, every personal agreement with any club collapsed. So that proved to us that yes, Everton must have been the club that is really interested or were in negotiation with Newcastle. Because if personal terms also collapsed, already earlier we knew there was personal terms between, or there were personal terms between the player and one club. But now we came to understand that, okay, every personal terms also collapsed, and negotiation between Everton and Newcastle also collapsed. So we believe that, okay, Everton were the one leading to sign the boy. So it happens, and then there were no deal again. Lyon came. Lyon, it was very true. They came and they offered, way even more than Newcastle want, because they really want to bring the boy to France. So, but the truth is, the boy and his camp do not want to go to France. They want to stay in the Premier League to prove that yes, the boy can do it in the Premier League. So that is why they're waiting to see if a club aside from Everton will also come. And now we are hearing, or we've heard, Brighton are in the scene now. They are also negotiating. They are in talks with the club, and hopefully they will approach the player side too soon. So Everton also are back in the scene, and now they want to negotiate, now not to have an exchange, including Calvert-Lewin, but they want to now go directly to get the boy. So these two clubs now are there to get Yankuba Minte. What we understand this morning is that there is no agreed deal for now between the player and any club, or between the two clubs, but something is going to happen in the coming hours, which is from here going to 12 o'clock midnight on Sunday. So let's see. Hopefully we will hear something. But whole this issue is happening because of that financial fair play issue that Newcastle is faced with. So I think it wouldn't be bad to see Yankuba Minte move into Lyon, or even AS Roma, who are also interested in German. Leipzig were interested, Dortmund were interested. All these clubs would really help the boy when it comes to his development. We have seen he really improved compared to the start at Feyenoord. At the beginning he was faced with a lot of criticism that his final third, his decision making, a lot of things. Yeah. So, but in the middle of the season, a lot changed. He became the fans' favorite. Everywhere you go to, you talk about Yankuba Minte around Netherlands. And he was so important for the team. I think he was just given one chance to start a game. From then, he continued starting, and he went on to start a lot of games.
Well, let's look at the bigger picture here. When it comes to the young chap, Yankuba Minte, this is a player who just out of the blues. Yes, his talent was spotted in the Gambia. He used to play for Steve Biko. He played some academy football. And then when he went to Denmark, quickly rose to the occasion, had a fantastic season. That's, in fact, the reason why Newcastle United spotted him and signed him, loaned him out because of lack of experience. He's just a raw talent. But can we genuinely say he's not yet a finished product? What I mean by that, I can qualify to say he is not a top player yet because he has not proven his performance at a big club yet. Right now, he has a huge potential. He has a fantastic season with Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie. If he is to make a move, we are not the ones to make that decision. He has his representatives, whom you know, obviously. But is it about getting to a better club? And when he gets to that better club, having playing time is hugely important. Because as a youngster, you have a good season. You would want to go to a club where you would be playing week in, week out. That is when you prove your performance. Or is it like getting to a very big club where your minutes and the chances of playing are less?
For me, I think at the start of this whole saga, my opinion remains the same, and that is to say, I would want Yankuba to move to a club where he will have minutes, he will develop, and as well as be prepared for the bigger stage. And saying that, I'm not sure the Premier League is the right place for him right now. Even though we want to have a player who will be playing in the Premier League, but I'm not sure this is the right time for Yankuba to get into the Premier League or any big club. Like you said, you could take evidence of his time at Odense, which is a very low team compared to the clubs that we are hearing now. But his time at Odense, he did really well. He was playing game in, game out. He was scoring goals. He was just getting attention of bigger clubs, and that brought Newcastle. He went to Feyenoord, the same thing. And Feyenoord, they play in the Champions League. They play in Europe regularly, but that doesn't mean they are at the same level as Newcastle. Even though Newcastle are not regular in the Europe competitions, but you cannot compare Feyenoord to Newcastle. So, talking about that, I will say, the best thing for Yankuba right now is to move to a club where he would develop. He will help himself understand a lot of things, even about professionalism. Because right now going to the Premier League, your focus will only be to make sure that yes, you give him the chance, you perform, and you impress everyone. And that may not also come, because we know Premier League is tough. We have seen players that eventually move to Premier League because they have expectation that yes, it's the Premier League, I will go, do my thing, and then get the name. But we end up seeing them failing, and they will end up going to the golf leagues. And that's not what we want for Yankuba. He's young, very, very young. So for me, if I will say, I will choose him to go to France or even German. These are leagues that really help African players. Look at France, the likes of Kamavinga, the likes of Chouameni, Rafael Leo, you count them. They all started in France when no one knows about them.
Even Aubameyang, before he joins Arsenal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but now look at them. These are the players that big clubs now are, so much focused on. Real Madrid now, without Kamavinga and Chouameni, you will realize that there is a huge absence in their club, in their team. So that tells you that they have developed somewhere, and that is no other than France. We have players who also have developed in German, Bellingham. Yeah. He's most talked about now,
Yeah.
But even though he started in the championship with Birmingham, but no one knew about him.
Him at the time.
Yeah. So, but when he moved to Dortmund, he had a very good time at Dortmund, and he made a name for himself. And now he is a very important player for a club like Real Madrid. Yankuba can also go through the same thing. You know, we want him to start from that stage. Let him go to clubs like that, on loan possibly, you know, develop himself. Then maybe 2, 3 years, he's very young. Even if he moves to 23, he can be playing in Real Madrid, he can be playing in Barcelona. He's having everything to play in those clubs. So for me, I think, like I said, my opinion is Yankuba to go to a club that he will develop and will have game time. He prove himself with the right time, then he can move to a club like in the Premier League or even in the Spanish La Liga.
Further, when it comes to football transfers, the player is the asset here.
Yeah.
We're talking about somebody, the club needs your service. Yes, at the professional level, no player markets himself. That is at the highest stage.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if I'm playing American football and then there is a team maybe in Sweden, I can talk to them directly because that's at the developmental stage.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about high level, top level football.
Mm-hmm.
You have representatives as players. They are the ones who speak on your behalf, who act on your behalf, of course, in contact with you. In the case of Yankuba, is he somebody in terms of representative, his representatives are the ones representing him in terms of decision making and things like that? Because you know about these things, that at the highest stage, it's not the player directly who talks to the clubs. And of course, when it comes to personal terms, his involvement will come in.
Yeah. With the clubs, I can say Yankuba will not be involved. He's having a representative with whom he signed a contract with. They're representing him, I think for the FIFA rules, they represent him for a period of 2 years. If that collapses, then they can extend it again. So with the club and the player, Yankuba will not go to the table. You know, his representative will be the one to tell the club that this is what the player wants.
Okay.
Understand. So, but between the club that needs the player and the between the club that needs the player and also the player, yes, his part will come in, because it's obvious that his representative must go back to him and ask him, how much will you need? Maybe for his salary, for his wages and everything, you know, they will come to an agreement. Tell him that, okay, fine, this is what the player needs, and this is what we also trying to settle for. Then they will negotiate and agree, okay, we're going to pay him this, we're going to pay him that. So, but all these negotiations will be done by the representative. The player will only be there until he's, you know, maybe told that, yes, the deal is done, you're moving, and you go for your photo shoot, you go for the signing, then that's where his part will come. But all the negotiation, the emailing, the write-up, everything I've seen, not only Yankuba's case, I've been in touch with, you know, a lot of agents, you know, and sometimes they show me how they do things. They have hectic job, you know, people don't know, it's behind the scenes, but they have hectic job. Sometimes they try to not only just negotiating, even trying to upload some of the information needed for the FIFA TMS, they call it, everything, you know, they do everything for the player. So sometimes the players will just be sitting or training and just get a call that, yes, everything is done, you just move in, but not knowing that the agents are doing a lot of work. Sometimes you will even call them, they will tell you that, honestly, I cannot talk to you right now, because what? 5 clubs are on the table right at that point, talking to them. You know, I had that scenario with one Gambian player when he's moving or he's receiving an interest from one club. Clubs started coming, and you could see how, you know, it was hectic for his agent to negotiate with all those clubs simultaneously, just to see which one will really bring the right offer and the best project, so he moved there. So this whole thing is handled by the representative. The player's role maybe is just to agree with his representative, this is what I want, you know, then they will know. Like in Yankuba's case, we all know he doesn't want to move to Lyon. And right now, Lyon, you know, are out of the table. I can confirm that. They are out of the deal because they understood that the player is not interested, you know, so they are out of it. So they negotiate all those things, the agent and player, and they agree, okay, I don't want to go to this place, I want to go to this place, I want this amount of money, I want this wage. Then they come to, you know, a conclusion and start negotiating with the clubs. This is how it happened.
Let's talk about social media. It could all be good, it could all be bad. Yankuba Minte is on the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yes, lots of opinions, but these opinions wouldn't matter at the end of the day because it's about the player, his future, what he wants for himself, and his representative, what does he really want. But there have been some bad publicity. You and I not okay with it.
Yeah.
We are not even going to talk about it in detail.
Yeah.
We've seen some gutter press in terms of the player, this transfer issue and things like that.
Yeah.
Does that help? Or is that kind of negative energy already is something you wouldn't want your player to be in, being called by names, sensational journalism and stuff like that? Is it something that could affect the player? But we're talking about the social media age where, of course, every player is online. They're seeing some of this stuff. If they're not seeing it, their friend is seeing it, or somehow they will get to know about it.
Exactly. I think it really affects the players. It does. So, but it depends on the type of player you are. When I saw this particular story about Yankuba, I was mad anyways, but I know Yankuba is a player who is not even bothered. You've been with him, and of course you could see his movement, you will know he's not that person who is even on the social media, Like I said, maybe his friends could see it and forward it to him that these people are saying this about you, but I'm not sure that is something that's going to affect Yankuba psychologically. I saw one guy who is a psychologist, he was talking about it, how it's going to affect the player and all that. So, but it depends, the type of player he is. And we all know Yankuba is really been handled by people that are really, strong. I have talked to this issue with his people, and yeah, what they told me is that they're not bothered, they know what is happening. So that is the important thing of all. Whatever the media, whatever the social media is talking about you, and you know exactly what is within, I know you will not be, much bothered about this. So, but the most important thing is that, that I think when I saw it, I even put up a write-up to say, okay, Newcastle need to understand one thing, even though they want to offload the boy to address their problem, but yeah, there is an agreement between the two of them, and all of them are trying to protect their interests. The player will want to move to a club, yes, but he will determine which club did he want to move to. Newcastle will want to sell him, but they will also, maybe say, okay, we want to sell him to this club because we know this club can buy him the amount we want. So, yeah, they are all protecting their interests. So the media can just come out and say anything just to see whether they can distract the boy and his people from doing the rightful thing, So one thing I was not very much also pleased with is our own colleagues also trying to further share those languages that have been used by other media houses, other international media houses, which I think, we should not have done that. We should have protected, our players as much as they are doing, because I know if it is an English media, they will not say such things about their players.
Yes.
You will not say it.
They wouldn't do that to Rashford. They wouldn't do that to Foden.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that to Cole Palmer, So I was like, no, we should not do this. We should also know that we have a responsibility to protect these boys, They are all what we have. We also need to see them at that level. And if the people are coming against them, other people are coming against them, we should do by all means to make sure they also feel happy that they have people that are also protecting them. So yeah, so we will learn from this, and hopefully if we see certain things like this, we can even go out and do a massive protest against the media house that is, saying such about our players. So, but I'm not sure Yankuba is distracted by this, but, it can really affect the player, even in his decision making, because the terms that I use, I don't even want to say them again, but if he sees this, he could say, wow, is this true? Is this what Newcastle is trying to do, So he would just be like, okay, if this is what they are doing, then let me leave, let me go to any club that I want now. Let me just leave them. When that is not the case there, Newcastle really want to keep Yankuba, no doubt. They really want to keep him. But there is an issue that is happening, and they want to, use Yankuba to address that. People need to understand that.
When it comes to footballers, these days, is it all about money? You've talked about each side protecting their interest. Yankuba side and also Newcastle. Also, they have to balance the books.
Yeah.
And also, if they see that there is an opportunity to massively cash on this boy, obviously they would want to do it. That is any club. For them, their interest is just to sell the player, even though they wanted to keep him. But since that is not a possibility right now, he's the biggest asset that they have as a young potential who could go to a bigger club. Is football modern day all about money? A player, obviously, you have to make sure that the paycheck is good. The reason why players are moving to Saudi Arabia, the reason why players are moving to the Gulf, some of them even forgoing when they have the opportunity to play in Europe for a top club. But if a team in the Gulf is paying a lot of money, they'll rather make the move. Because at the end of the day, your career is important, a name that you make for yourself. Yes, you've played in the UEFA Champions League, you won it with Real Madrid, you won it with Barcelona, is important. But at the end of the day, it's about the future. The cash is very important.
Yeah. I think I saw a story this morning about Nacho saying he moved to Saudi Arabia not because of the money, but because he doesn't want to play against Real Madrid. I was laughing. I said,
that's really laughing.
Yeah, I said if you don't want to play, against Real Madrid, and you want to stay in Europe, it's very simple. Go to Italy and join Como. Como, they are just newly promoted club.
Yeah.
They need players.
Exactly.
They will not play against Real Madrid.
Against Real Madrid.
Maybe he will retire before they play against Real Madrid in the Champions League. So I was laughing again. But yeah, like you said, right now the football world, footballers are so much focused on the money. We cannot say no. That is something. And like I said, the interest there I'm talking about is what is on the paycheck. If the club that they said they've agreed terms with is paying them huge amount of money that they want, obviously they don't want that to fail, and if that fail, it pisses them off, So yeah, not so, we rule that out. They may also be considering that where can they get that amount of money that they'll be paid and feel okay they are receiving the payment that they deserve, the payment that a player like Yankuba deserve, so those are things that also are very much factored. So I think it is one thing they will be considering. So to say, okay, whether modern day football been influenced by money, of course we've seen a lot of players moving to Saudi, the Gulf, is very important. For me, most especially our players, even though for some of them I have my reservation that they should not be moving for right now to go and get the money. They should be playing at least at the big stage, I will not want to mention names, but I know some of them already moved to some parts of the world, and we know, yeah, obviously they're going to get a lot of money. So, but those are players that can still make it at the top level, in the Europe top 5. They can still be playing there, Maybe you can move to the Saudi leagues when you are 35, 34, and still you think you have the strength, you can go and get the money and as well play, keep your fitness. If the national team needs you at the time, you can also come and play, But around 25, 26, I'm not sure it is an ideal decision for you to move to, leagues like that, just because, with the pretense that the league is growing, we have Ronaldo there, Ronaldo is done,
Completely.
Even though I don't know what to say, but Ronaldo is done, and a lot of players that are moving to that league, we know most of them already, got what they want, so they just want to make sure they have a lot of that money. Hopefully, post-career, they can have something to invest into some things that they want to do, and yeah, still get the life that they want. So, but yeah, I think some of our players need to keep it at the top level before moving to Saudi. They can have an age, benchmark where they will say, okay, if I reach this age, I can move to Saudi and get the money. So, but right now, I'm not sure for Yankuba.
Yes, we'll get into the details again, and we'll talk about other potential transfers that could happen. But exclusively is about the complex world of football transfers that we're talking about, with a specific focus on Gambian players. And one player in particular who is in the headlines is Yankuba Minteh. And I'm Mamadou Gajaga with Fode Mane in the studio to talk about this. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, the discussion continues.
Looking for internet for your free videos, pictures, chats, work, and school projects? Think free night browsing. Qcel's free night browsing lets you browse the internet for free. Oh yeah. Get a data SIM, recharge a minimum of $500 and enjoy free browsing after 24 hours from midnight to 6 a.m. every night for 30 days. Qcell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the Qcell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more for just $4,275. You can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. Qcell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is Qsports and I'm Mamadou Gajaga. We're talking about transfers. One potential transfer that could happen is Yankuba Minteh, who services right now is being sought after by several clubs. Well, notably, right now, we know of Brighton Hove Albion and Everton. There are other clubs that are also interested, but it appears these two are the ones who are in hot contention. And probably in the next few hours or so, something might come out of this deal, the negotiations and everything. Yankuba's representatives are looking for his best interests, and of course, Newcastle United, who are the parent club, the team that has Yankuba's signatures, they signed a contract with him and loaned him out to Feyenoord, where he had a fantastic season. That's just the closed season. He played UEFA Champions League football, he scored a goal, and we've seen his performance. Well, I was surprised when I watched Yankuba play against Atletico Madrid. The take-ons, going in the heart of the defense, beating past players, winning fouls. At some point, in fact, I think he should have been giving a penalty or not, arguably. Yeah, I'm like, as a Gambian, it felt so proud to see a Gambian player played in the Champions League. We've seen them previously. Mamadou Cisse Zico played in the Champions League. Jato Cisse. We've also seen Sefo Soli for Club Brugge at the time, and so many other players. But if there is a player who has impressed in the Champions League for the few games that he played, is Yankuba Minteh. How good is this for football in terms of publicity around the world? Could this trigger to agents and scouts to say there is good talent in Gambia?
Yeah, I think I can attest to that, because recently my time in the Combos here, I've crossed paths with a lot of agents and scouts, Most recently is that of the Girona guy I met here, and he's so impressed. So, but about Yankuba's game against Atletico, I think what really made it more interesting for Gambians is that he is a forward playing against a team like Atletico Madrid. If a forward player is playing against Atletico, what that means. But he really took that game as the game of his life. You could see it. And one thing I liked about him in that game is his urgency in the match. Because whenever he gets the ball, he makes sure that, yes, there's something that he wants to get. And that is to rush for it, and that's to get the goal. He tried, many times, trying to, break
the first game he should have beaten Jan Oblak.
Exactly.
Yeah, on two occasions.
That
just
one-on-one
need a little
with
bit
him.
of composure,
Exactly.
I think.
So, he wants to get something out of that game. He wants to send a very big signal. I think that game he went with a plan. That's to tell the world that he wants to sell himself out. Yankuba is good with dribbling. The urgency is good.
Pace is number one.
The boy is having everything that a striker needs or a forward player needs. I think Arne Slot really helped him, So that game was his game. He did wonders, and we all loved him for what he did to those Atletico players. We know what it means to play against players under Diego Simeone. So, it was a game of his, I think one of the best games that he had, during his time in Feyenoord. And about putting the Gambia on the football map, I think Yankuba really, if it is right now, if we are 50%, Yankuba really contributed to 15% of that, because everyone now is paying attention to him. Imagine even this period, I think Fabrizio posted him 3 times in the few hours, that alone tells you something. And Fabrizio is a global journalist, And yeah, like I said, scouts, agents are really paying attention to Gambia now because of people like Yankuba, people like Adama Bojang, because of people like Mamadou Bajo. Mamadou is another player, even though he's playing in Slovakia, but he's a player that top clubs are really paying attention to. Recently, I've had a chat with an agent from the City Group, the group that owns Man City and Girona. They are really much impressed about Gambian players. They have seen raw talent here. They have seen, a lot of things that can be trapped from the Gambia. And one player that he also talked about is second division player, not even a fourth division player, second division player with Elite United, who is Amara Kamara. And that tells you that, not even our fourth division, but our second division, we are having those talents that, clubs like Girona are paying attention to. They even inquired about him. I've recently talked to an agency that is, very big. They're managing the likes of Moses Caicedo of Chelsea, and our own Gambian-born Senegalese, Nicolas Jackson. They're also so much impressed. So this tells you players like Yankuba, Musa Baro, Adama Bojang, these young players are really putting us there. So, but we have a long way to go. A lot needs to be done, to get this talent out there to play. Last year, I think, was the best year of our football transfer. A lot of players move. Every 2 days, a player is moving. Every 2 days, a player is moving. So that tells you we have a lot here. But something needs to happen. At the level of the authorities, they have...
In fact, that's what's going to be, but not to cut you, going to be my next question. On the ground, what needs to happen? Because Senegal have hugely made a breakthrough into players being signed directly from the Senegalese league. They don't need to go on trials. They don't need to go through maybe a set of development or state. Players are signed from Metz, to Metz in the French league, directly from the Senegalese league. We've seen that happen time and time again. So what would get us to that stage where a league is professionalized, the pitches are good, there's brilliant football, everyone, loves watching the league, and straight they see a Gambian talent and spotted the talent and get him to play for a club in Europe and maybe at the professional level?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Senegal, like the recent under-20 tournament that happened, and AFCON and World Cup. Metz signed 2 Senegalese or 3 Senegalese players from the under-20 setup directly. And we have only 1 player who is signed from our leagues directly to France. That tells you the difference, I think, like you said, the professionalism of the league should be prioritized. Our pitches need to be well developed, let them be at that standard where players can play, enjoy themselves, showcase their talent, tell the world that this is what we have, And yeah, a lot of things need to be happening even at the club level. Clubs need to keep statistics of their players, which is very important. I always get pissed when I want to get statistics of players within the first and second division and contact the clubs, and they cannot provide them because they are not taking records of this. Even though we want to say, okay, the authorities have the bunch of work to do, but clubs also have another responsibility to do. They need to take care of their players. They need to teach them about professionalism from this stage, which is very important. Most of the time we hear players move here and they start being involved in certain things. I've heard stories of players being involved, a lot of things that are very unpleasant, So at the side of the authorities, they need to professionalize the league. They need to work on our pitches. They need to make sure that even our games are even streamed, because these scouts will not want to come here all the time, but they want to watch from the TV and be able to spot maybe 1 or 2 players and say, okay, I think this player, we can bring him. And they start, initiating contacts. you know. So a lot needs to happen when it comes to our football at our own local level. I think we need to move to professional level. Even though we've seen news of GFF working towards that, but how soon will it be? Which is very important.
Especially looking at the infrastructure on the ground.
On the
How
ground.
do you play
I'm not
professional
sure this thing can
league
happen now.
and then you don't have
So
good
the,
pitches?
the grounds are important, and we have limited grounds also, because if you look at the number of clubs we have from the first and second division, even third division clubs, and you look at the grounds that we are having within the greater Banjul area, it's very limited for what we want to achieve, you know. I think they need to decentralize also, going to other parts of the country. It's good that they have, you know, a pitch in Soma, you know, hopefully in NBR, and then we have one in URR. I will not, you know, put my region out, so we can have one in URR, and this also is going to expose players in those parts of the country to feel like, okay, they also have a belonging to what is happening, you know, in our football cage, you know, so they can also see themselves and fight for it. And we could have players, we start seeing, look at the national team setup. You could only hear one player who is from the rural area, natively from your rural area, like in the national team. If you talk about player from rural area, you can only say Alaji Sen, maybe Mahmoud Bajo from Kiang Keneba, you know. So, but all this thing will help us to expose the talent there also. So scouts will see. So, but it starts with the basic that we need, the grounds, you know, the know-how of the clubs, what they should be doing and all that. Then we move step by step to get into that stage. So, but for now, I think Senegal will continue having those players moving directly to the European leagues, or like us, who are sending players, even how good they are here, they will still tell us that they are going for trials.
Trials, yeah.
Which I am not a very big fan of even sharing. Recently, I've seen a boy who is moving to Nottingham Forest. I saw some share it about him going, I don't know, Lamin Silla, Steve Biko. You know, his guys reached out to me, honestly, before even it was shared by one journalist. So what I told, I was like, I'm not going to share this, you know, because it is one thing. You share this story, you know, to the public. They know, yes, Lamin is going to Nottingham Forest for a trial. That's a very big story, huh? So now he moved, he went on trial, and it became unsuccessful. You cannot go back to the public and tell them that again, Lamin is, you know, Lamin went to Nottingham, but he failed.
He failed in the
because that will not be good for the player.
Player, of course.
You know, so that tells you that it is better that we send them directly to sign with the clubs than sending them on trials. You know, and doing that, we need those things.
And when it comes to trials, I think one thing needs to be clear. It is the player and people who are helping him who are the ones who will go and show that club what he is worth, what he can do.
Exactly.
But it's not like the club is interested in the player. Of course, if you tell a particular club, we want to see this player, or we have this player, we want to bring the player, and you can see what his performance is. He had a fantastic league season, you know, he scored goals and all of that. That is for the player to prove himself. But the coach might see that, you know, the player is just a raw material. You know, he just needed a player who is ready for playing at the top level.
Yeah, I've seen agents who, with all this stage that we are, this, you know, bad stage we are in our football, they still get videos of their players. They compile the videos, go to clubs, present the videos, present them the statistics, tell them that this is a player that you can buy. Understand? If they watch the video, they are impressed. You know, these videos are real. You know, they will decide, okay, whether they should go for the player or not. You know, and certain stage I've had conversations with him, and he will tell me that clubs will view the videos and still come back to him and tell them, okay, we can invite him. He will come on trials. We assess him. If he's fine, we take him. But this man will tell them, no. With the video, if you are impressed that you need the player, you negotiate. I will not bring a player that you will never like. And that is how he is doing his business with these people. He will really tell them the reality. We are having the talent, and we bring you the talent. We will not lie to you. If you want to take him, take him. If you don't want to take him, we move to another club. So, but we have to be realistic here. Some agencies will want to, you know, have the hype that yes, this agency is moving this particular player to this club, even if he's going on trials, that people started talking about the agency, that they're doing good, they're doing great, they're sending out players to this big club. At the end of the day, if the player failed, that agency will not come back and tell us that the player failed.
Yes, let's talk about a situation here. We wouldn't be naming the player for obvious reasons. Like you said, we need to protect them, especially when it comes to negative publicity. But there's a Gambian player who was signed from the Senegalese league, went to France, was about to get into a professional contract with a team. But at the end of the day, the agent, the representative of the player, kind of dumped the player. The player went to a point, his visa nearly expired in France. It was few days before his visa expired. Somebody gets him a ticket. He left France, went back to that club, and then everything started falling apart. The player was in the country for quite some time before having an opportunity to go abroad. And he's now playing, but not at the level he once wanted. And then, at the time, this was a player who was destined for greatness. I think players also need to be careful who they deal with in terms of representation.
Exactly. I think, I'm seeing now some changes in our footballers because they started now paying attention to our Gambian agents, trying to, trust our Gambian agent more than those agents that come for them. Some of these contracts that they even sign with these agents and these players, the players not even read these contracts. Understand? They'll just be, we have this for you, this is a contract, this is where you sign. They trust everything and they put pen on paper. At the end of the day, they move and they start facing these problems. I've seen scenarios like that a lot of time, not only that alone, but I think sometimes it has to do with the people that you dealing with. The agencies, you need to make a background check about them. What have they really done? What is their reputation? A very credible agency, obviously, go to transfer market. Very simple. If the players don't know, I'm telling them, go to transfer market and you search every agency, they will show you. And you will be able to see people involved in those agencies. And they will tell you whether they are licensed or not. How many deals have they worked on? The magnitude of the deal, So that tells you that, yes, this is an agency that I can work with. But yeah, if you just see, someone just come on board, like we have a players currently in the national team now, even clubs are paying attention to him. He has an agent that took him from a club here and took him to Spain. Imagine, with the pretext that if they go to Spain, he's going to sign with a big club in Spain, playing in the La Liga. And they went, and everything was, false. They went there, and they gave him a, pre-contract, signing with an amateur team, telling him that this club is affiliated with the club that is in La Liga, and you play here a little while, then we move you to this place. And he was there struggling. He was not getting paid. He was not, getting the feeding that he required. Everything was pissed, and people have, even national team, they will, when they're announcing the squad, they will put the name of the Spanish club, Everyone will think like, yeah, he's playing for that Spanish club, when he's not even, those people are not even aware about him. And now he moved to a better club, and now he's making name for himself. Clubs now are after him, understand? So it's a matter of who you're dealing with. These things are very easy. Players need to utilize, their phones, very simple. Go to the web, if Mr. X come to you and tell you that.
And maybe even get advisors.
Yes.
Talk to people who you think they know.
They can help you.
Yeah, they can help you out.
When you have a contract that someone want to give you a contract between two of us, he's trying to protect his interest. And you also have an interest there. Tell him, okay, I'm taking the contract, I'm going to sit with someone, we're going to review it, and I will get back to you. Maybe you will not know one term in that contract, a single term in that contract can affect you in the future. But you just put pen and paper on that, and you agree to everything. So it's important that we looked at the contract that we sign with agencies, we sign with clubs, understand? And if agencies come to us, we know how credible they are. What have they done in the football world? then you will be able to trust them to go with them. And most importantly, I will advise our players, let them pay attention to our government agents. They are doing really well, and they can support them. Yeah.
Just last year, 2 Gambian players also fell victim. This again, trying to protect them. Normally, in the outside world, these things happen. You come and name the players and say this is what they went through. But obviously, in the Gambian context, you would want to protect them, and these players don't want these things to surface. It's like somebody tricked them with a potential contract. This is somewhere in the world. It's very far from the Gambia. I wouldn't name the country for, of course, obviously trying to give a hint on which country, obviously, what happened. But these players went to Dakar and they spent some time there waiting for their flight to get into that country. On the whole, they came to the airport. They could not even board the plane because the authorities at the airport told them, unfortunately, you people have been giving a bogus contract that you are going to this particular club. We know about all of these things. These people are, fraudsters. They try to trick people and all of that. So you better go back and try to work on yourself and see how next time, learn from this, know the people that you're dealing with all the resources, with everything that they've spent. So this is happening a lot. Players need to be careful.
They really need to be careful, honestly. I think maybe sometimes some of our players are so desperate going out,
Is it because of the conditions on the ground?
Of course.
You play in the league,
your
salary is not even up to 3,000, some 4,000.
Some are not even receiving salary.
Yeah, some are not even receiving salary. That's true.
So that is it, there are, push factors, So you are not receiving salary, you are playing on a ground that maybe every game you have to go and see a medic, you go home, your mother or your father is expecting that, okay, you're coming with something today after your game, and you only come, say, Assalamu alaikum, get inside and take bath and come out.
Maybe you even ask them for breakfast.
Yeah, so you see, those things, and, again, you see someone that you've played with,
Yeah, I've seen players where they will ask their coach,
Exactly. You've played with someone, and luckily he is there, and you'll be like, why am I here? Why am I still here? And then you just get contact from these agents or these fraudsters. They come and tell you that, okay, we're gonna get you a club, we're going to, and they really can do this business. They can even take them to a hotel in the country here. 2 days they are there, enjoying themselves, thinking that everything is okay, They tell them tomorrow night you're traveling, you're going. Some of them will even leave. These ones, we are lucky that they were even stopped at the airport. But some will even leave, and at the end of the day, they struggle there. I've seen a guy who went to Turkey, and he was promised with a Turkey Super League club. The guy called me. Every day this guy called me, he's crying. I'm telling you. He said he's not eating. He's sleeping on the streets, and he was playing for a league club here.
That's very, very bad. These things happen, and it's very unfortunate. There are situations where players buy their own shoes.
It's crazy.
Recently, as a Gambian player in the league, injured, was not taken care of by his club. He's frustrated, even walked out of his contract. He's terminated his contract and all of that. The club are doing everything possible because they have a contract with him. But how can you have a player, the player is injured, and then you're telling the player, go and self-medicate or go and do something about yourself because we cannot take care of you. The bills are expensive. If that's the case, why do you have to get the player in the first place? All these are things that happen. Yes, but we just wrap up.
This is what I'm telling you. Like we have a responsibility, collectively, not just the authorities, even the clubs. Imagine this scenario, very sad. You have a player, when you need him, he's giving you everything, and now he's struggling. You don't want to help him. It's very sad. Clubs need to change that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Very sad indeed. That's Gambia for you. But all we want is the good of our football. We want our game to develop and other sports as well. That's it for Qsports this afternoon. Thank you very much for watching. Join us next week at the same time and have a lovely Saturday. Bye.